Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. Hey, what's up? It's your man Lloyd Spence, and I'm so excited because it's been a great football season already. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends at betonline.ag. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use your promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your rewards. Why? Because it's BetOnline, and that's where the game starts. And tell them the Noisemaker sent you.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. But to make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. The popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's name, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC. You know, there's every night there's these shows you do, and you know it's going to be a good show because the group chat told you so. And so this is one of those shows. We know that it's going to be good because we've technically already done it once, so we're just doing it now for you. That is Kendrick. Let me get that finger straight. That's Kendrick Haskins over there, the Hall of Famer. That is Charlie Ward, the Heisman Trophy winner. I've never asked you technically, are you in the Florida State Hall of Fame? I would assume that you were, but I don't know. Yes. That's what I figured. I'm not even going to humble flex you because that was my question. I just asked the question. I wanted to know. And
he answered it like he was expecting a humble flex too. He's like,
I know. I wasn't going to humble flex you. I asked the question. It's not fair to humble flex. There's rules of the humble flex. You just can't be humble flexing all willy-nilly.
I don't know. Sometimes it does feel like we're humble flexing all willy-nilly. I'm just saying.
No. Like, what do you mean? Like when you go on vacation to Europe? That kind of stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not humble flexing all willy-nilly. Would you agree with that, Charlie? That's not a willy-nilly humble flex.
I'm on the beach.
Right. So anyway, and I'm Lloyd Spence. This is BLEAV in the ACC. We're glad to be with you today. So a show broke out the other day as we were getting ready for this show. I would say, hey guys, we're gonna talk about this huge game that we're having this week between Clemson and Syracuse, two undefeated teams, both in the same division, fighting for supremacy. This may even decide who's going to the ACC championship. Probably will decide who's going to the ACC championship from that division. And I tend to think, despite the people that they have played, that Syracuse is for real. They are for real. And I don't know if everybody agrees with that. So that's what we're going to talk about here, in addition to all the other wonderful things we do on the show. But I tend to think they're for real. And
So what gives you that thought? Like, why?
now, and see, well, here it comes. Now I'm gonna say this, and then you're gonna say, "Oh, here he goes," because I've watched the tape.
Where's all the tape come from?
of them?
Yeah, where's the tape come from?
I am so glad you asked. See, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew y'all were gonna do this to me. Be like, "Where'd you watch the tape?" I'm gonna show you the tape. I got tape this morning. I brought the tape with me.
I'm not saying where is it in your house. I'm saying where did all the tape generate from?
Yes.
Well, today it generated from YouTube, but
No.
You're still missing the point.
You're still missing the point.
Okay, tell me what I'm missing.
All their games are at home.
They got an S in the middle of their field.
What does it matter? What does it matter, Charlie Ward? What I will not stand for on this show is hypocrisy. If these games were in Florida State or Louisville and they were 6-0, we'd all be saying the same thing.
Right, we'd be saying the same thing that Charlie and I are saying.
No, they got a chance.
But
I'm not.
Guess what? But the games, I'm not sure who you're going to show us, but a few of the games.
Yeah, we're going to go through a little bit of both, actually. We're going to go through a little bit of both.
They could have easily lost a few of these games, which they won, but they were at home. Is the point that we're making, and the point that you're trying to make is they're 6-0, and 5 of their games have been home.
That is true.
Against, I mean, who's the top team that they played?
Well, they just beat the number 15 team in the nation.
Without their quarterback.
Also true. However, that's why I wanted to bring the tape, because while that is also true, there are plays that they're making that if they can duplicate those plays, now granted, could be a big if, but if they can duplicate those plays, they can win this game.
You can say that about just about anybody in the country.
I agree. Okay, all right.
Anybody can win a game. Win this game.
That's what I've been trying to say. If anybody can win a game. Anybody. Okay, let's go to tape.
Go to the tape then.
Let's go to tape. Okay. Here's the first play.
Hey, Charlie, does that place look familiar?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are we doing that all show? Really? We doing this the whole show? Really?
We're gonna have to, because all their games are at home.
Oh my! I'm only showing one game, so I'm showing a similar opponent of how they both approach NC State. So all right, so here they are on one of the play running one of the run plays.
That Ernie Davis ain't gonna be on the field in South Carolina.
Listen, but that is a great running back in Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker is kind of stud like, bro. Like, he hits the hole well, he finds the creases well, and he's got burners.
I'm not taking anything from him because I really do like him as a player. I'm not even saying that Syracuse is not a good team. They are a good team. Even though all their games are at home, they still won those games. But
they still won those games. Go ahead.
What was the final score of this game?
Of this one?
Yes.
24-9, I think it was.
Oh, okay. So you
Does
think
that matter?
24? So you think 24 points will beat Clemson on the road?
No. What? No. But I do think there are things.
Hold on. Before you go on your rant, could you
I'm not going to rant.
Could you please look up their games against really competitive teams that they played and share with me how many points they've scored?
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll look that up.
I'm just saying, I like their running back. I like their quarterback. I think they are a good team, but they still have
I like the great team. I like the wide receiver.
Yeah,
great team.
Orlando
Jackson
Gadsden is a very, very good wide receiver. Could play on Sunday type wide receiver.
But they have to prove it to me on the road.
and I'm not saying Clemson's defense is, like what we think they are.
Right.
Because if you're able to have a good ground game, you can you can keep the ball away. That's probably how Syracuse has been playing. Anyway, they run the football. They're not a pass happy team. So it kind of gives them a chance to win games. And the way they win games is, low scoring.
Low scoring, dominate the clock.
Correct. But I don't know how you can do that on the road.
Okay, so now ask me that question you wanted to find out for you again.
I'm just curious to know how many points they've scored against quality teams.
All right, so that therein lies the rub, because what are we calling quality teams? Is Louisville a quality team?
We can say Louisville.
Okay, they scored 31.
That was the first game, so that can be a wash.
No, you can't wash it. It's the quality team. They beat them 31-7. They weren't favored in that game.
Okay.
All right. So Purdue, they scored 32.
Okay.
All right. I'm struggling to call Virginia a quality team, but they scored 22 on Virginia, and they scored 24 against NC State.
Where were all those games?
They were at home, but that's listen. Y'all gonna beat they can't play on the road thing to death, and I understand.
Excuse me, who have they played on the road? Just give me that.
They play. That's not fair. They played UConn. We can't count that.
Hold on. So they are 6-0, and they've only played
6-0
on the road.
All you can play is your schedule, and that's how the schedule lined up. But hold on. Let's not act like Clemson is out here playing juggernauts. Clemson has played Furman, Louisiana Tech, and Boston College. So they padded themselves as well. And they played Georgia Tech to open the season, which we don't know. That's Jekyll and Hyde, right? Now and they gave up 45 against Wake Forest.
At least they have put on the away uniform, and they've gotten on the bus to go out of town.
Right, slept in a hotel.
Yeah, slept in a hotel.
So you guys think that the leaving of Syracuse is so grandiose that it's gonna make that much of a difference? None of what they're doing translates on the road.
I think they'll be successful. I just don't think they're gonna win the game.
I think there is a path for them to win this game. I think there is a path.
I do believe that. I'm not saying they're not a good team and they hadn't played well. They've done what they needed to do when you look at the schedule, and that's the reason why they are where they are. They won the necessary games, but it's a little different when you go on the road playing against a quality team. They'll be in the game and they'll give themselves a chance to win, but I just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off.
I don't know. Listen. I don't know if they will or not either. But I'm trying to tell you. I don't think it's
I mix in the fact, the same thing with what I said last week with that Florida State game for Clemson. Clemson has been in these big games so many times. This is Syracuse's first game of this magnitude. And how long?
And again, I don't disagree with any of those things. But my thing is that also can be an advantage, because if you're going to a game with no expectations and nothing to lose, nobody thinks you're going to win it anyway, then you can play, then mentally you can play free. Like, we're not supposed to win this game. We're going to the mighty Clemson, and they're going to dominate us and blow us out. So what do we have to lose? So now you can play loose and free. Charlie, you know that.
No, I don't.
Charlie, you've never. Well, that's right. You've been.
Yes, like I said,
you've been at the mighty Florida State, so you've never been an underdog, or you've been with the Knicks and you've never been an underdog.
Yeah, I've been underdogs before.
That's my point, Charlie. You've been an underdog before. Is there a lot of pressure on the underdog?
No, but you still want to win.
Well, that's a different conversation.
And
Of
when the
course
pressure,
you want to win.
when the team puts pressure on you, you got to have some dogs that's going to be willing to make some plays. And if you don't have those types of guys and they have more of them, you're going to end up losing.
I think Clemson has those dogs. I think Schrader is the quarterback is a lot better than we probably all thought that he was. Though he does make mistakes. Now he can throw an interception with the best of them. But but at the same time, his personal running is significant enough to, and he's a big dude. I didn't realize he was that big. If he can get out in some of these spaces and give a little trickery, move the chains a little bit, they got a shot, man. I don't think it's as far-fetched as people think. Now, I could be back on here next Thursday saying, remember when I had said Syracuse? Both things can also be true, but I think they got a shot. There is a plan.
They do have a shot. I'm saying it's going to be tough for them to win on the road because they hadn't played on the road, one, against a quality team.
Okay, so talk about that for a second. Why do you think the road aspect of this is so significant? Do you think that it's going to be that overwhelming in Clemson? Is Clemson that much of a
crowd? You have you got to think. You have to worry about the crowd. Now you're playing behind the chains on offense, and those are factors they haven't had to negotiate through. And my thing is, they've been playing well at home, which is much easier than playing on the road. And trying to navigate your way through the crowd. You've been in a crowd before where you had to try to navigate your way through. It's tough.
Right.
I mean, just walking.
So let's say they jump out early and they can kind of quiet the crowd a little bit. If they can get up 7-14, whatever. That might be the way they have to do it. Maybe they got to get an opening drive, go down and score something.
It's more than a drive, though. I mean, you think about how Clemson's played all year.
Well, to be fair,
Clemson can get behind. I mean, them getting behind is no big deal.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with them getting behind is no big deal. I do think it's more significant that Syracuse can, if they can maintain composure and, like you said, playing in that crowd, whatever, there is a path. They have players that can make plays, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The challenge for them is to me is when DJ runs. That's the real problem. Because if you can box up Shipley and try to put pressure on him and try to get them in third and long, but DJ running is a problem because he's big enough, he's strong enough. That could be a problem. And by the way, the other problem is on the defensive side of the ball is the Murphy kid. And I have, to be fair, I have film of both, so I didn't want you to think I was all Syracuse all the time here this morning.
I'm just amazed that you're so adamant.
I really because you get one of those feelings and you say, "Man, this ain't a wash." Like that's a really good play right there, which is Shipley. That's a really good throw.
And you also got to factor in, Lloyd, that they have a great backup quarterback.
They do have a. You know what? You know what? Kendrick Haskins. Much better than the backup for Virginia. That's right. See, that's a problem. And they do that a lot. They go to that, a lot. Have him just run the ball because he's so big. Now, this is the other problem. Murphy on the end right there, that dude is so strong.
And give real quick, Lloyd, because I couldn't remember. What was the final score of the Clemson-NC State game?
It was 30-20. Yeah, it was 30-20. NC State just didn't have enough toward the end to do anything, quite honestly. They
had their starting quarterback in that game.
They had the starting quarterback in that game, yeah.
They did not have their starting quarterback against Syracuse.
No.
And what was that final score? It said 24-9.
Yeah.
So essentially, they did the same thing against Florida State. I mean, they kicked like field goals the whole game. I mean, the second half.
What, Clemson?
No, NC State.
Oh, NC State, yeah.
With the quarterback. So I don't know if they scored a touchdown since Larry been out.
No, I don't think they have. They've been trying to just kind of piece it together. I didn't realize. I thought that the way the guy was playing, I thought that the quarterback that they was playing with was a freshman. I was shocked to know that he was the backup quarterback as a senior. It's like, really? Like, wow.
Yeah, he's a transfer.
Yeah. So listen, again, I'm not saying and I'm still on the fence of what I'm gonna pick yet because I'm not
okay.
Yet. I'm being honest, but only because of I'm gonna be honest with you. There's two factors that I think makes it tough to go all in, but I still may go all in. It's the Shipley factor because I think you can.
Are you going all in?
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence because here's the other thing. I like Oronde Gadsden. I think he's a really phenomenal receiver.
I do
and
too.
I think he's a matchup problem. Because listen, for sure, Clemson, if you can get past their first level, they are susceptible on the backside, y'all on the back end of their defense. NC State was hitting passes against them on the back end, long throws, long pass. So they're quarterback? Florida. Okay, but that's not the point though. That's not the point. Who the quarterback is not the point. The fact is
that is the point.
It's really not because Jordan Travis did it too. Jordan Travis took advantage of them as well. And I think Schrader has that ability. He has some ability to throw the ball just like Jordan did, just like Devin did.
He might. I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to make any plays, but again, Clemson has been in these games a million times. Syracuse has not been in these games. And this game is on the road.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying.
They do have a chance, Lord.
They have a chance. That's all I'm trying to say.
Just so you can feel happy about. They do have a chance, but every team has a chance before the game starts.
Yeah, no believers in this room. Let's just go through the week 7 results, shall we? Goodness. No believers in this room. Miami did what Miami was supposed to do against a very bad Virginia Tech team. I think weekly at this point, we should just go ahead and chalk up a win for whoever's playing Virginia Tech. I think that's a safe bet at this point.
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, they got a lot. They got a lot to work on as it relates to that. They just don't have a lot going there. They did get 2 late touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but that was pretty much it on Virginia Tech. Van Dyke looked better. Relatively.
They're not scoring a lot of points though.
Right.
They're not.
Yeah, I just worry about their offense. They just don't put up many points on offense.
Right. And maybe we all, not all, but maybe we just, we got caught up in the preseason hype of it because they ended well last year. So you're just like, okay, maybe this should be better, but it's not that much better. We talked about this.
I didn't have that many expectations coming in because it's their first year head coach. I never put too much on a first year head coach, regardless of who it is.
Right. Charlie?
Should be 34.
What's it 34? Oh, you're absolutely right, sir. But talk about what you think went wrong in this game.
Well, what went wrong was we lost contact in like 3 possessions. So their last 2 possessions of the second quarter and the first possession in the third quarter, that's where the game was won. So they kicked the field goal scored a touchdown, and then on our drive we fumbled on the in the pocket. Jay Trail fumbled, and they went down and kicked the field goal, and then came out in the third quarter, had the long kickoff return, and then they hit the touchdown pass on a nice play, and that was the game. All the other time, offensively we played well. Defensively we played well. Minus the big plays. They had a lot of big plays that they hit on, and that essentially, I mean, when you start looking at it, trying to break it down, that is it.
And see, that's the other thing. I think that is who Clemson is. They're the big play team. That Shipley will break a run. DJ Uiagalelei will break a run, and he'll hit a one long pass. I mean, that's how they're winning these games. Now, that's significant because if you're making mistakes and they're taking advantage of it, that's part of the scheme. But if you can stay disciplined, you got a shot.
Now, they can move the football. Don't get me wrong. They did that as well.
Yeah.
But they scored a lot of their plays, a couple touchdowns on big plays.
Yeah.
And that's what teams do. I mean, good teams do. They find ways to make big plays, and that's what you need to do if you're going to win games.
Yeah.
You can't be a grinded out offense that's going to win games. But with that being said, I mean, Florida State had almost 500 yards worth of offense.
Yeah.
And so, we didn't take advantage of a couple opportunities to get, field goals or points when we were in that range. I know we missed on a 4th and 2, which was big because that's when they went down and I think scored or kicked field goal, one of the two, right before the half, which all the decisions to go the 4th and 2, I was good with because you were in that range where it's probably too far for the kicker, that whole deal. So I thought the decision that Jordan went with was not a very good decision because if you're trying to keep the chains moving, you can't try to throw and hit a 7 route, which is a flag route, into a cover 2 look, and that's what they were kind of playing and the cornerback fell off and knocked it down. It was a good play by him. So it's just a good learning whenever you're trying to move the chains on 3rd or 4th down. You need to pump deep and try to hit someone underneath, especially 4th down. You just need to keep the chains moving. So whatever's best to do that, you do it. But, we were down there quite a few times and we didn't kick field goals. We were going for it, which I totally get, totally understand. But whenever you're that close, you need to at least try to get some points. And I know he trusts his players and what have you, which is a great thing. But if we ain't executing, at a high level on 3 downs, I'm not sure if we can go for it on 4th down and expect it. So, but the fake punt, I totally got the fake punt.
Yeah.
People are kind of chuckling at or asking why. Well, at that time we had lost momentum, and it wasn't like we were totally in our territory. We were in that gray area as well, where most times fake punts happen around the 40 on your own 40 in that area. And so I thought it was a good call. Clemson just played it to where we couldn't get the 1st down. I mean, if it was like 2 or 3 yards, we would have been okay. But it was like 5.
Right.
So I thought it was a well-played game for the most part, but they got away. It was 34 to 14 at one point in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
And I think when we got down there and we didn't score, which we needed touchdowns for sure, but we didn't put points on the board to make it 31 or 34-17 at one point. And then we came back down and scored, you know, I think a couple more times or whatever in the fourth quarter. You know, that would have helped us at least get closer and keep the momentum going. But when we didn't get it on fourth down and we were still down by 20, it didn't take anything out of the team, but people started to leave and what have you, that's their issue. I was just sitting there waiting to see who's going to make a play.
I think, first of all, very astute analogy there, Mr. Ward. Kudos to you, sir. I think the what you just said is kind of what I feel like why I think Clemson is beatable. They're gonna hit you with big plays. They're gonna do that. They probably maybe even get up on you, but they're not. It's not like you can't score on them, as many teams have proven this season, and it's not like the key. I think is you got to take advantage of every scoring opportunity that you have. And yeah, you may have to take that 3 and live to fight another day, but just keep putting that pressure of scoring on them, regardless, especially when you're in their house. You got to take whatever points are available, and then just keep on trying to get back down there, keep trying to score, keep trying to put that pressure on them, and hopefully.
My thing is that's pressure in itself on you.
It is,
and it reminds me of. It reminds who was it? I want to say it may have been a Florida State team in the past. So it's like all they had to do is stop you once and the game's over. And so you'll score. They can see, yeah, you're gonna score on Clemson, but if they stop you once, then it snowballs.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's what you're gonna see this Saturday is Clemson, Syracuse will go down there and they'll score. They might score on their first 2 drives. But once they get stopped, then what happens?
Well, that's going to be the X factor. And then you can't get into a trading field goals for touchdowns thing with them. Back to Charlie's point. I agree with you, Charlie. You got to take some risks. You got to take some chances, calculated chances, reasonable chances. I agree with you. I wouldn't have gone for it on a 4th and 5, but a 4 and 2, 4 and 1 for sure. You take that and live with the result.
Yeah, I'm with Charlie on the fake punt. I mean, that's the time to run it. And
that was the time to run it.
You need to give your team a spark. I mean, yeah, I didn't have any. That's one of those things. If it works, everybody praises them. If it didn't work, then everybody.
Right, you're a gutsy play call if it works, and then everybody's like, "Well, I don't know if I'd have done that," But I think it was fine.
The thing about it was well executed.
It was.
I mean, they had what they wanted. As far as the blocking, it was just Clemson played it well.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened. So
right.
Yeah, no, it happens absolutely.
Sometimes everything happens right, and it just doesn't.
And it still doesn't work. Exactly. And then the other big game we had this weekend was North Carolina and Duke, which actually turned out to be an incredible game. I mean, it's
game of the weekend for the ACC.
It really was. It was an incredible game. And by the way, this ain't your grandpa's Duke. This Duke team is all right. They're going to be that. If nothing else, they're going to be competitive. They're going to fight and they're going to be competitive. So I give them credit for that. They could have laid down in that game after that third quarter, and they did not. They kept fighting and almost pulled that thing off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, one, that they fought, they put up a fight, B, that they put up a bunch of points against North Carolina's defense.
Well, North Carolina can't stop nobody. If we've learned one thing about North Carolina this season, they cannot stop.
I think that was why I think that's why all three of us had pause in picking that game, is because you just never know with North Carolina's defense. I mean, they've got a great talent of being able to keep both teams in the game.
But having said that, they're 6-1. I mean, they're 6-1. They're right there. So I mean,
North Carolina?
Yeah, they're poised to to win the conference. I mean, the division. So we'll see. But they can't stop nobody. Lord Jesus.
They don't play Clemson in the regular season, do they?
I don't think so. I think the only time they can meet up is the ACC championship. Let me confirm that. I don't want to put bad information out there. That is correct. Their remaining games are Pitt, Virginia, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, and NC State. So if they can survive that, then, and by the way, good luck to those 5 teams because they're going to have to come to the game knowing they got to score 30 points. Yeah. Here's North Carolina this year. 56 against FAMU, which you know, obviously 63 against App State, and it took all 63 to win. Right. 35 against Georgia State, and it took all 35 to win. 45 against Notre Dame, 41 against Virginia Tech, 27, which is their lowest output of the season, against Miami, and now 38 against Duke. So you're going to have to score 30 to be in the game.
Like they're the Lyle and Marymount of ACC football.
and see, I was going to say they were the Kansas City Chiefs of the ACC because they can score. They may not be able to stop you, but they can score. So
that's why I like Lyle and Marymount.
I like your Lyle and Marymount. I like that. All right. So this was an interesting week this past week because Charlie and I went 2-2, and Mr. Haskins somehow went 4-0. Which listen, it does not really matter who you're betting with when the three of us, you're making money. If you're betting betonline.ag, you are killing the game right now. You're planning your Christmas vacation is what we're trying to say. You're doing all right. So
you can have a trip to France.
You can have a trip to France just like our Kendrick Haskins. All right. So now we head to week 8. And we start out with Virginia and Georgia Tech. Gentlemen, who you got going into this one?
I'm going with Georgia Tech. They've been playing well last 2 weeks after they fired their coach. And so I think they'll continue. Virginia, of course, as we know, has been not very good this year, even though they have a very similar team or guys that we thought were going to be good, but they haven't proven to us that they could win at home or on the road consistently. So I don't see them pulling this game out.
Charlie, do you still think Georgia Tech is playing for their fired coach, or are they playing in spite of him? This is a weird. Listen, the last 2 games they played have played inspired football. You're going, where the heck was this when this guy was fighting for his job?
Like I said, sometimes you have to remove I don't like it, because it's more outside than anything. The outside noise, outside pressure, that's where you start to get the dysfunction, because inside the building, everyone, I'm sure, was fighting and doing what they need to do. But on the outside, they were losing, and they kept hearing the coach need to be fired and all these different things. And that plays into your team unity. And when that was removed, they've found a way to come together and compete and win games.
All right. Kendrick, guys, what are you doing here?
I'm with Charlie. I'm going with Georgia Tech. They've been playing better balls. Like, unfortunately, since they got rid of the coach, Virginia's slacked off. I mean, I don't know what happened with Virginia because it's not like they have a bunch of injuries. I mean, they're not any more injured than anybody else. But right. But they fell off as the season has progressed. So I'm going with Georgia Tech.
All right, I'll make it three in a row on that one. Duke and Miami. At the beginning of the year, this would have been a no-brainer for me. I'd have said Miami in a rout. And now, I don't know. Man, like you said earlier, Miami doesn't score, man. They don't score. So
and they don't have a home field advantage either.
They don't have a home field advantage anymore. I think I got to go Duke on this one.
I think I'm with you, Lloyd. I think I'm gonna go with Duke. Duke's been more consistent, more steady all season. You don't know what you're gonna get from Miami, and like you said, they don't score and they don't have a home. It's so many of these games we look at and we're just like, oh well, we'll go with who's at home when it's two evenly matched teams. But you can't do that with Miami because there might be more Duke fans there.
There are people not going to When is the last time you can say that people are not going to a Miami Hurricanes football game? People are not going. Like if you look in the stands,
I think it's more to it than I think it's something to do with the stadium is so far from campus for one.
Well, that has a lot to do with it. But it's interesting. I don't know, Charlie. What are you doing here?
I'm gonna go with Duke as well. I think they're playing much better football. Miami is winning games, but they're barely winning games. So this is definitely a game that can go either way. But I do believe that Duke will be able to pull it off on the road.
Charlie, I got to ask you this before we move forward. Why is Van Dyke struggling? What do you think is the reason for him not taking that next step? Because he's throwing the ball a lot, but he's not connecting at all. Oh, and Charlie's not connected either. Oh, there you go. There you go.
It's hard to put your finger on it, but it does hurt that this is a new offense, a new head coach. That wasn't there last year, so he's trying to figure out that whole system. Gotcha. And people kind of poo-poo on the idea that having different offensive coordinators, like that's a big deal. And when a quarterback has two offensive coordinators with some terminology differences, new head
he's
coach.
On his third, isn't he, Charlie?
It's possible.
You know what's funny, Charlie, and what's powerful about what you just said? I just heard this on Monday night, and Kendrick, you probably heard it. Was it Monday night? No, Sunday night. I just heard this Sunday night, and I did not realize this. But going back even to his Alabama days, Jalen Hurts is on his 7th offensive coordinator.
Wow,
his 7th.
But this is year 2. This is year 2 of the same system.
Right, and that's why they're saying he's better because he's having some consistency. So I can see what you're saying about Van Dyke. If you got a different voice in your ear every year, and you got to reestablish that trust every year and that understanding every year, that can mess with your learning curve considerably.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal. People don't want to give the excuse, but
right.
And it's not for everyone. I mean, you have very few that's able to, overcome that, as opposed to the many that struggle with having so many different offenses and voices. And so that's just the challenge that we all face when you have different systems.
Because he seems to have talent. It's just, I don't know. There's something not connecting. And again, it may just be him just trying to get comfortable. But
he may not just be necessarily a fit for that system too. It could
possible.
Be a little bit of that, and with any quarterback, it took Justin Herbert a while too.
It took Justin Herbert a while. That's exactly right. I don't know if there's any mystery in this game.
No.
This is a clean sweep, I think.
This is a clean sweep. So far, we've gotten 3 clean sweeps here. We'll
see if it won.
Well, we'll see. We got 2 left here, Pitt and Louisville. I don't know. This one scares me, man. First of all, let me ask: Is Malik back for sure now, or?
Yeah, Malik's back.
Okay, all right. And the running back, is he back as well?
The Tennessee transfer is not, but the other one is.
The other one is okay.
They've got one thing I will give credit to Louisville, they are loaded at running back. So they can
they'll be
deal
fine.
with injuries at running back.
Right.
They're loaded at that position. Louisville is one of the hardest teams in the country to predict.
They are, man.
Levitar said he's been losing on bets on Louisville since 2015.
That's actually fair. I can't even. I want to complain about what he's saying, but it's actually fair. That's a fair assessment.
But they played well. When was the last time they played?
They played well against Virginia at Virginia.
They did.
They had a bye week last week. So if you go by how they've been all season, they're due for a bad game because they don't play 2 good games or 2 bad games in a row. So
go ahead, Charlie. Go ahead.
They need if they can stop the run for Pitt.
They can win.
I'm not a big believer in Keaton Slovis, like being able to beat them.
You haven't been all year. That's true. You haven't been all year.
And so if they can stop the run, or I don't say stop it, just slow it down a little bit.
Slow it down, yeah.
So guys not running for 300 yards, like 67, 68, 70-yard touchdown runs.
Right.
And I see Louisville winning this game.
I'm gonna try one more time to put trust in Louisville. Though I admittedly I'm wildly uncomfortable with this pick, but
I'm the same way. It is homecoming. It is a big weekend here for U of L athletics, and so I'll go with U of L too.
yeah. Okay. Last game of the week.
Well, we know where 2 of us stand, and we're just waiting on you.
I'm all in. I am all in. I'm going with the orange. I'm riding with Dino.
Yes.
They're going to find a way to pull this off.
You're right. Field goal at the end.
So, listen, this is an interesting one this week because we all basically picked the same thing except for this last one. So
it's a chance for you to make up ground.
This is a chance for me to make up ground and bring it back to even. We would all be even if I win this one. Or I'm 2 games behind. One of the two. One of the 2 things is going to happen. But I'm going to believe that what my eyes have shown me are real. That Clemson can somehow go on the road, stay in a nice hotel, wake up early for the hotel breakfast, and figure this out.
And it's a noon kick, and it's their first real road game.
Yep. I'm not saying there aren't challenges, gentlemen. I'm just saying I like what Syracuse has done this season. And by the way, shout out to Dino for saving his job because he's clearly done that.
One would believe. But
I can't imagine they're gonna let him go after this.
But there's still the rest of the season to be played, where most of those games are on the road.
Yeah, but let me go back to their schedule. But I thought that was they got some tough ones left. If I'm not mistaken.
They do have some tough ones left on the road.
They got one home game left. That's
right.
Out of 5.
They still
got 2. They got 2. They got Notre Dame.
So they got like 8 home games.
Yeah, they are loaded down at home this year.
Boeheim made the schedule. He had to.
Yeah. I was gonna say, listen. 2 teams that got blessed in their schedule this year are playing this weekend: Clemson and Syracuse, because they got a ton of home games. But yeah, they got Notre Dame and then they got you guys, Florida State. But if they're for real, they should be Pitt. If they're for real, they should be Wake Forest, and they'll be Boston College, whether they're for real or not.
They're not going to be Wake Forest.
You don't think they're going to be Wake Forest either?
Nope.
Oh wow, okay, that'll be interesting. That may be another game I may make up the difference. But we'll see how they do this weekend before I start jumping off the cliff on that. But I don't know, man. So
Wake Forest is a cliff and not Syracuse, not Clemson.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm jumping off the cliff this weekend. If they beat Clemson, then I'm
I'll,
good.
I'll
I'm clear
revisit
sailing to the end, I think.
my pick if they beat Clemson.
Right, if they beat Clemson this weekend. All right. We got a couple of minutes left. Let's talk away from the ACC real quick. What do you guys think about the national picture as it begins to unfold a little clearer?
Huh? Is it more clear?
I didn't say it was more clear, but it's you're starting to kind of see a couple of teams distinguish themselves. I think Ohio State is good for sure. Georgia is, to me, is far and away.
I don't know if I'd go far and away if they're far and away better than Tennessee.
Well, that's going to be the X factor. Here's what I do know about Georgia: their defense is for real, because they're blanking teams. Like, you don't blank teams if you don't have a good defense. So their defense is for real. I don't know what their offense is really, because they're beating up on bad teams. But that November 4th against Tennessee is going to be. And by the way, I heard this and I thought about it, and I think they're correct. If Tennessee can beat Georgia, they probably got a path right to the playoffs, no matter what happens at that point.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they got a path
probably
to the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know how you keep them out of the playoff, and it won't matter what they do in the SEC championship game.
Right.
Tennessee, to me, is very good.
Yeah.
For the defense, I mean, their defense is not championship quality defense right now.
Right.
I don't care how you try to slice it. I mean, they could have easily lost the game. The guy just missed the field goal, which you need, and they did what they need to do, get the ball and go down and score or kick their field goal. But their defense is not quality championship defense right now.
But Charlie, is Georgia's offense a championship offense?
Yes.
Okay.
They just did it.
Is that the same offense? Is that the exact same offense?
It's not that much different.
But they have guys that can make plays.
They do.
And when you have a quarterback that's experienced and he gives his guys opportunities, understanding where he wants to go to football, they also can run the football. I just think you gotta have balance. And Tennessee's defense has been what they've been all year. And it was proven last week when they played Alabama that they just couldn't stop them. Like, I don't care what they tried to do, they just couldn't stop them from doing whatever it is they wanted to do. And so that's a concerning factor for me when you start talking about championship playoffs. Unless you just get all the teams in there that's very similar, where they got strong offense and the defense is okay, then you'll have some good games. Like, everybody be competitive. But if you get a team in there that can play defense and can play offense, that's well balanced, then that's the team that's gonna, be on top.
And to me, that's only one team. I've only seen one team that has both for sure. I think Ohio State has it. But
they do.
Yeah,
Michigan is another one. I mean,
Michigan has both. Okay,
because
they shut Penn State down.
They like to run the football.
Yeah.
The passing game, they gotta probably be a little bit better, but if they can run the football, they're gonna run the football. That's what they do, and they do it well, and that controls clock. And if you have a high-powered offense, it's going to keep the offense off the field. So I think there's some validity to Michigan, and they play defense as well.
Yeah, I like Michigan. The only thing is, with every team, let's be honest, every team you have a butt. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, because like with Michigan and Ohio State, I think they both have the same but their schedule so far. The Big Ten has not been great. Penn State, Penn State does this every year.
Every year. Coach Franklin, every year. You can count on them.
They have a gaudy record, then play somebody and get stomped. So, It's the yeah, but with them, with Tennessee, it's like Charlie said, their defense, especially their secondary. Can you win a championship that way? I mean, yeah, you want to shoot out against Alabama at home again, but would they win that on a neutral field or at Alabama? Who knows?
Right.
And so I think with Georgia, you see the most stability, even though they've had some games where you're like, hold on, what's going on here? That Missouri game sticks out.
Right.
And so everybody has a yeah, but if I had to pick my top teams, I'd say Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, and Michigan, just based on who they play. Even though Tennessee probably has the best win of the season of anybody.
Right.
Those four are the ones that stick out the most to me. Then Alabama at 5, then I don't know, maybe Clemson at 6.
Is there a path for anybody outside of those 4 we've mentioned to get in, like a Clemson, like if Syracuse could somehow run the table, if USC could bounce back from the Utah loss? That to me, that was the Pac-12, man. As great as that Utah win was, as a conference, it was the worst thing that could have possibly happened.
Right.
It canceled everybody out.
Right. I don't think USC has a chance to. I don't think they really have a path. Syracuse, their path is, I don't know, because I mean, outside of Clemson, they're not playing any team that's really going to give them that boost because of talent. I mean, they could be, but they reputation wise, I don't know.
Right? No, I understand.
Reputation would be the issue for them, but they're playing the same teams that Clemson's played.
Right, you were exactly right. But Clemson has the reputation, and Clemson was already up there anyway. Syracuse has to leapfrog a bunch of teams where Clemson's already up there.
Well, but I think Clemson could run the table and still miss it as well. Because I don't think that you're right. I think they're on the same. They got the same problem. So for Clemson, they don't have any dominant, like against quality teams, dominant wins. So this weekend is critical for them because they need to blow Syracuse out.
Yeah,
if that's possible.
I don't think they need to blow them out. I
think so.
I just think they're because I don't even think if they blow them out, their path changes. Because like you said, they like both of you said, they play the exact same teams. The only difference is Syracuse has to leapfrog a bunch of teams to get up there, where Clemson doesn't have as far of a path just because of reputation and rankings.
But I think the ranking this year for Clemson, this number 5 ranking, is out of respect for the historical nature of who they've been.
Exactly.
I don't really, honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't think they are the number 5 team in the nation.
Not. Maybe not. But I mean, the only reason why I say they probably are is because nobody else has really been great either. So I like this year in college football because we don't.
It's been great.
We don't. I mean, because so many years we knew who was going to win the national championship. It's been a couple teams. Now it's expanded a little bit. So
it's kind of up in the air this year, for sure.
But they're still undefeated too, and they were. I said they're still undefeated, and they were ranked in the top 4. So they're not gonna, as long as they keep winning, they're not gonna fall past 5 or 6.
Maybe 6, because I could see them still putting a 1-loss Alabama ahead of them.
You don't think they'll fall?
Not if they undefeated.
When is the first? Do you know when the first? This is a difficult question to ask, I guess. When is the first playoff ranking thing? Like that should be coming up soon, shouldn't it?
It should be soon. I know it's November. I can't remember exactly.
It's normally the first week in November. Is that what it is?
I think maybe
it's the first or second week in November.
And I would tell you 2 teams that are mucking up the waters right now is Ole Miss and TCU as well, because they're playing just now. Especially Ole Miss. Ole Miss is interesting to me.
There you go hard, go Frogs.
The Frogs are mucking up the waters right now. And I think they can make it hard for Clemson as well, because they're getting some quality wins. Or what it looks like to be quality wins. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting run down the stretch.
I think Clemson as fine as where they're at as far as moving in there. Because I don't know. Because like I said, I don't know if they're going to put them ahead of a one-loss Alabama or a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan.
They're not, because Alabama's
Georgia
loss
or Tennessee.
Right, Alabama's loss is a great loss. Like it's a great loss, and it's going to continue to be a great loss all season long.
And like Michigan and Ohio State, most likely whoever gets the loss will be that loss against.
That's going to be a great loss as well.
And then Georgia and Tennessee, the same thing when they play each other, and so. And
by the way, Ole Miss, if they have a loss and it's not like a blowout, they'll have a great loss. So they're in a tough spot, man. Clemson's in a tough spot. It's not a gimme to get them in, but being undefeated.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I do think they could fall even though they're undefeated. I do think they can.
I think they're in a tough spot, man, because and it's not their fault. You can only play who's in front of you,
right?
But we just don't have enough. We got teams in the top 25, but we don't have them high enough to justify moving Clemson up over these other teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole thing. All right. Shout outs to people. What we got going this week. Let's start with the great Charlie Ward.
Well, you know where I'm going.
Yes, we do.
Seminoles. Lady Seminoles soccer. They got a big game this week, I think, against North Carolina. Might happen tonight. But they beat Duke this past weekend 5-1. I think they've won, I don't know, 11 straight games or something, some crazy number. But they're playing well. And shout out to the Horned Frogs. Yes.
Now they're your Horned Frogs. I like it.
Yes.
Hey, he's been wearing TCU stuff.
He's been wearing it. He's been repping. I love it. I love it. I love it.
We that's where our money's going. So we're claiming.
Hey, that's where my money's going. I gotta rep
the house.
Yes.
Hey, we got a child at Florida State and got a child at TCU.
I love it. That's hilarious. That's where my money's going.
We root for those teams.
You root for your bank account.
I got you. Kendrick, what were you doing this week, brother?
I'll shout out all the festivities going on around town this weekend. I mean, today is U of L men's basketball media day. That's today. Then tomorrow is the Louisville Live event with basically it's their version of everybody does Big Blue Madness and everybody else. Jack Harlow is hosting it this year.
Oh wow!
So it's his second appearance at the Louisville Live, and then pretty sure we'll probably have a Master P sighting since Master P's son is a walk-on the basketball team. So it'll be an interesting Louisville Live on Friday night. And of course, I talked to Peyton Siva. Peyton Siva and Angel McCautry are also going to be involved. So it'll be great to see them back. Saturday, of course, is homecoming for Louisville. Then Sunday is the red-white scrimmage. So it's our first look at the men's basketball team this season. So it's a busy weekend around town.
How's my girl doing?
Mikasa
is back for her sixth
her final year, right?
Going to name a dorm after her. She's been there so long.
Oh, yeah. She's been there a long time. Been there a long time. Well, plus, you can't really find quality babysitting like that. So you just can't be letting her walk out the door.
And shout out to them. They're number 7 in the country coming into the season in the AP poll.
By the way, did you guys hear that the Louisville men's basketball team is picked to be 12th in the conference?
Yes, I did hear that.
That's fantastic. They get to take the Charlie Ward approach to the season.
Yes.
Let us stay under the radar.
And really, I think they've got solid bigs. Shooting is a big question, and guard play because you have L. Ellis, and then what?
Right.
So
that might be legit. We'll see.
I mean, L's. I do think L's going to take a huge leap. I think L's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And so everyone, you just have questions. And Sidney Curry I think is going to be really good. They got a transfer from Tennessee, and they're going to be good up front. And L. Ellis is going to be good, but shooting is going to be a huge question mark for them, and just guard play in general. So I can understand why they were picked so low.
Yeah. My shout out is very simple. I like to shout out Damian Lee, U of L, former U of L player who had a monster fourth quarter last night in a game that seemed to be a rout. The Phoenix Suns got a measure, as they say, a measure of revenge in the opener last night against the Mavs, who came out on fire. But somehow, I don't know how Phoenix got back in this game, but they did. And they have great defense in the second half. But, man, shout out to Damian Lee for hitting a couple of tough shots at the end to seal the deal, man. What a game.
Shout out to Damian Lee for getting his shot. You know, in Golden State, he wouldn't even been on the floor in that situation.
He would not have even been on the floor. That is
getting in a situation where he could be on the floor in that part of the game. And shout out to my boy Ja Morant, my fellow Murray State alum.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I have one more shout out. Shout out to Bailey Zappi, who just might be the new starting quarterback of the New England Patriots.
Bailey Zappi is balling.
He is balling out of control.
Everybody was talking about Cooper Rush this and Cooper Rush that. I'm like, Cooper Rush is not a starter for the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
Bailey Zappi could be the starter for the New England Patriots.
I would think that Mac Jones is in a lot of trouble right now.
I mean, this dude's coming up.
Good.
He's throwing up 300-yard passing games on the road at Cleveland.
Legitimately,
defense is a good defense. They're legit.
Right. He's putting up numbers legitimately, like he's winning the game.
Right.
It's
not the defense carrying him like they was carrying Cooper Rush. He's out there balling. He's making plays. They're putting the ball in his hand and saying, "Go make plays for us." He's doing.
I'm just saying.
Who recruited this kid out of high school?
I know he went to Houston Baptist at first.
HBU, baby. Houston Baptist University.
I tell you what, when you do the deep dive, his final year at Western, he threw for 6,000 yards.
He's got all kinds of
number of 6,000 yards or something. So the kid can play. Like he's legit can play.
He can play, and honestly, Western's their offense, the way they're off, they put up numbers, and I'm thinking they may have been held against him a little bit because maybe it was just the system. But I mean, because the quarterback now he's not too far off Zappi's numbers, to be honest with you. But
isn't this the most New England thing ever though? Like they got a guy and they put their eggs in that kid's basket, but the backup guy once again is the guy that's going to.
Plus, you got to think Zappi. He's a 4th round pick. It's not like he fell like way down in the draft. He was a 4th round pick, and so New England saw something in it, and so
I
think they drafted him with the intent on pushing Mac and maybe even taking Mac's job. I really do think that's why they picked him.
Well,
that's kind of high just to pick up. That's not a throwaway pick at the 4th round.
No, it's not. Well, it looks like it might be mission accomplished because he can really play. He can really play. So I want to give him some love today.
Real quick, Charlie, I got a question about your Knicks.
Oh.
Why does it take injuries for there to be a bunch of injuries for them to play Cam Reddish, who they traded for last year? Why won't that? Why? What is the deal there? Because he was phenomenal last night.
I think he's good for what he does. I just don't know how disciplined he is.
Okay.
When it comes to what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have guys like him, who's a talent, he's a special talent, as we saw last night, then you get what you saw at the end of the game, where the shot he took to try to be the hero.
Right. Wasn't
a good shot.
Right.
That's kind of what you have to live with if you're going to play him. And I just know Thibodeau, I'm very similar in a lot of ways when it comes to that, where you have to get as much as you can with guys like that, but you can't put them in certain situations until they mature into the type of player that you want them to be. So at the end of the game, you can't trust him in those situations because he wants to be the hero. His mind, his mentality is, I want to be the hero. So the shot he took in regulation, when I think they needed a 3 or I don't know what it was, but
he hit a 3. He hit the 3 to send it to overtime.
He hit that one out, which was cool. In rhythm, part of this play.
Much better shot, much better selection.
Right. And then I think he came back shortly after that and just jacked up a 3 off of one pass. And it got tipped. And I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Moran ended up with the rebound on that one. I think. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened, but I just know that shot. It might have been in regulation. It wasn't a very good shot, and it was a shot. It was a bucket that they needed, like to be able to either keep the game close or even win it or in some form. So that's the kind of thing you just have to continue to work on. I don't think he's, to me right now, I think he's good for certain situations, but you got to try to go with some guys that are a little bit more disciplined in certain times like that. But I mean, I don't know what the issue is. Then again, it could be a part of the work part, and that's the thing that we don't see. We see what happens on game night,
right?
But he might not be putting the work in that Coach Thibodeau and those guys are needing in order for him to earn trust to be able to be on the floor. And we see flashes, but will he be able to be trusted to be one of those rotational guys? We just don't know. But we see what we see, and that's all people judge the coaching on, because we see what we see during the game. But what we don't see is what he's doing, weight room, what he's doing, watching film, what he's doing, as far as his workouts. Those things play a big part in how can I trust this player? Because if he's doing all those things, I can trust him to make good decisions on the floor in certain situations. But a lot of people don't see that.
Right.
What they see is what we saw last night, him being able to get downhill and shoot the 3. But very rarely do you see him make a play for somebody else when he's going downhill. Because you've seen him, I saw him a couple of times where he put his head down, try to Euro step, guy bodying him up, and he throwing the ball up, and it's just a bad shot. That happens to everyone, but it's just that mentality. And so you have to limit that when you have that type of mentality. You can't trust that in certain situations. So I don't know. And if you got a guy that's going to do what you ask him to do, like Quentin Grimes, he's going to do all necessary things you ask him to do. He can shoot, he can defend, he plays gritty. Then you have to weigh that. And that's probably the reason why he's sometimes on the outside looking in, because there may be some other factors that may be hindering him from being a everyday guy.
Okay, because they traded for him, and then he didn't hardly play him at all last year, and then they said on the broadcast main reason why he's getting so much time tonight was because there's some injuries ahead of him. So I just was wondering why that is, and he broke it down perfectly. I mean, that explains it.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Quinn Grimes is going to do what Coach asks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. But one thing I think coming out of that game is for certain, the Knicks are they. I like what Jalen does for that team.
Yeah,
they seem to be a much calmer, more focused, more cohesive unit with Jalen at the top of that, and I can see why they made the decision to bring him in.
They're going to have to make a decision on quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I was just thinking the exact same thing. What does that mean for quickly?
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's going to have to stay ready. I'll just said, I know it's his second or third year.
Second
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to stay ready because they're going to play Derrick Rose, and he may have to go into a backup, like a shooting guard role, or what have you, because they're going to play Jalen and Derrick Rose at the point guard position, which those are two good options.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard not to play both of them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see how he navigates that, and that's the reason why, in an 82-game season, you always have to be prepared and ready to play because you never know when the Derrick Rose may do what he did last year, which he's getting older and he may not play all the time. And
Exactly.
so you just got to be ready to play and never know when your time's going to come.
Exactly. Yeah, because with Derrick Rose, I mean, God love him. The guy's dealt with so many injuries, and so
A lot of injuries. Yeah,
you got to be ready. Like you said, he's got to be ready because I mean, anybody can go down at any time. But Derrick Rose has shown that 82 games is going to be a stretch, and it might be a thing of where there's some nights where they just give Derrick Rose a night off and quickly steps in and gets those minutes.
And despite LeBron's newest commercials, Father Time is undefeated. So there you go. All right, people, we've had a good time today. I'm all in on the orange. Go orange.
That's that didn't sound
Which orange? Which orange are you going for?
The one that's going on the road this weekend. I'm going.
That doesn't sound confident at all.
I mean,
orange. Go
orange. Woo, Dino! All right. Let's see what happens.
We'll have a 2-game lead in this.
The shade. We change this. Believe in the ACC in the shade. That is
I have to make a call.
I'm sure the group chat's gonna be nice this weekend. That is Kendrick, guys, and that is Charlie Ward. I'm Lloyd Spence. This is Believe in the ACC. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on Believe